The tunnel at the Stadium of Light smelled of damp concrete and deep heat. Fluorescent tubes flickered overhead like they were about to give up, casting long shadows across the painted brick walls. Kai Lennox stood there alone at 22:47, 3 minutes before kickoff against Manchester City. His boots were already laced tight, the laces double knotted the way his old academy coach had taught him. The roar from the stands was bleeding through the tunnel mouth, that low, animal hum of 32,000 people who'd paid good money to watch their side get battered by the champions. His phone vibrated once against his ankle, tucked inside his sock. Not the usual pre-match group chat, not his girlfriend sending the good luck heart. Just 6 words from a number he didn't recognize. Miss it tonight, and we're even. Kai stared at the screen for half a second, thumb hovering. Then he deleted it, cleared the notification, and shoved the phone deeper. He rolled his shoulders, heard the familiar click in his left one, and stepped forward as the line started moving. The tunnel narrowed. City players in sky blue walked past without looking at him. He caught the eye of their captain for a flicker. Nothing. Just professional blankness. Out onto the pitch, the floodlights hit like a slap. The crowd noise doubled, tripled. Kai jogged to the bench, sat, pulled his hoodie tighter. He wasn't even meant to start. He was the kid who'd come on for the last 10 minutes a few times this season. The one the locals still called the academy lad with the lucky boots. The game was tight, ugly. The kind of Premier League scrap where both sides looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. City led 1-0 at halftime. Then 2-1 with 20 minutes left. Sunderland were hanging on by their fingernails. Kai watched from the bench, heart thumping against his ribs every time the fourth official lifted the board. Then, in the 87th minute, the call came. "Lenny, get ready!" He stood, stripped the hoodie, felt the cold air bite his arms. The substitution board flashed his number 27. The stadium gave a polite cheer, the sort you give a kid who's about to run into the lion's den. He sprinted onto the pitch, touched the badge, took his position. 3 minutes of normal time, then stoppage time. The ball broke loose on the edge of the box. A City defender slipped. Kai took one touch, shifted it onto his left, and struck it clean. Top corner. No keeper on earth was saving that. The net bulged. For a second, the whole stadium seemed to inhale. Then it exploded. Teammates piled on him before he could even turn round. Someone kissed the top of his head. Another screamed in his ear so loud it rang for minutes afterwards. The away end fell silent. The home end sang his name like they'd just won the league. Kai Lennox, 21 years old, first senior goal, winner against Manchester City. The fairy tale. He looked up toward the director's box as the final whistle went. The chairman was on his feet, clapping, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. It looked more like relief. The kind of relief you see on a man who's just dodged a bullet he never admitted was coming. In the dressing room afterwards, the noise was deafening. Champagne sprayed everywhere, even though it was only a league game. Someone had already made a cardboard sign. Lennox the Lionheart. They lifted him onto a bench. He laughed, soaked in it, the fizz stinging his eyes. But when the chaos died for a second, he caught the physio glancing at the sporting director in the corner. A quick nod, nothing more. His agent, Marcus Vale, pushed through the bodies, grinning like a shark that smelled blood in the water. He clapped Kai on the back hard enough to sting. "Tonight we celebrate properly, yeah? My treat. Something special for the man of the moment." Kai nodded, still buzzing, still half-deaf from the crowd. He didn't notice the way Marcus's eyes flicked to his phone as he said it. By 1:17 a.m., they were in the private room of a restaurant down by the river. Just Marcus, Kai, and a bottle of something that cost more than Kai's monthly rent. Marcus poured 2 glasses, slid one across the table. "To the goal that changes everything," he said, raising his own. Kai drank. It tasted sharp, expensive, with a faint metallic edge he put down to adrenaline still coursing through him. His phone buzzed again in his pocket. Another unknown number. Nice strike. Shame it wasn't meant to go in. He stared at the message until the screen went dark. When he looked up, Marcus was watching him with that same easy smile. "Everything all right, kid?" Kai forced a laugh, slipped the phone away. "Yeah, just the lads taking the piss." Marcus nodded slowly, poured another measure. Good, because tomorrow the world's going to want a piece of you, and we're going to give them exactly what they want. Outside, the river lapped against the quay wall. Somewhere in the city, a betting slip worth millions had just become worthless paper. And Lennox, still tasting champagne and whatever had been in that second glass, had no idea the clock had already started ticking on how much that one goal was really going to cost him. The next 48 hours hit like a freight train with no brakes. By 7:30 a.m. the following morning, Kai's phone was already vibrating itself off the bedside table. Notifications stacked so fast the screen looked like it was snowing. Sky Sports, BBC, The Athletic, even some lad on TikTok who'd stitched together the goal with that slow-motion celebration where Kai pointed to the sky like he'd planned it all his life. Lennox the Lionheart was trending. Someone had already mocked up a shirt with his face on it. A local bakery in Sunderland was selling Kai's Killer Curry Pie by 9 a.m. He sat on the edge of his bed in the small flat the club rented for him, still in last night's hoodie, hair sticking up. The goal replayed in his head on loop. The touch, the shift, the clean strike. It felt unreal, like someone else had scored it. Marcus arrived at 10:17 sharp, knocking twice before letting himself in with the spare key he'd never given back. He carried 2 flat whites and a brown envelope. "Morning, superstar. Sleep all right?" Kai shrugged. His head felt thick, like the champagne had left a film behind his eyes. He took the coffee anyway. Marcus dropped the envelope on the coffee table. Inside were fresh contract drafts, a new agent fee structure, and a pair of plane tickets to Dubai for a quick photo shoot and some downtime. Marcus tapped the top sheet. Chairman's already talking new deal. Bonus clauses, image rights. This goal just made you worth 3 times what you were on Tuesday. We ride the wave, yeah? Kai nodded, but his eyes kept drifting to his phone. Another message had come through at 3:12 a.m. from the same unknown number. Enjoy the headlines while they last. He deleted it before Marcus could see. The rest of the day blurred. Training was light, recovery session after the night game. The lads were still buzzing, slapping him on the back every 5 minutes, calling him the man. In the canteen, the younger lads wanted selfies. The senior pros gave him respectful nods, the kind that said, "Welcome to the club, but watch your back." At 4:45 p.m., Marcus texted him to meet at a quiet bar near the training ground. Just us. Something special to mark the moment. Kai walked in to find Marcus already halfway down a bottle of Japanese whiskey. 2 glasses waited. The same sharp, expensive taste from the night before. Kai sipped, felt that faint metallic edge again, but put it down to nerves. Marcus leaned in, voice low. "Listen, kid, the chairman wants a quiet word tomorrow. Nothing heavy, just alignment. You're the face of the club now. We keep things tight. No loose talk about how the goal happened. Understand?" Kai frowned. "It happened because I hit it clean. What's there to talk about?" Marcus smiled, but his eyes didn't. "Exactly. That's the story. Stick to it." By midnight, Kai was back in his flat, scrolling through the endless comments. Praise, memes, a few trolls saying it was a fluke. Then one DM from an account with no followers, no profile picture. "CCTV in the tunnel caught you checking your phone. Delete this message. And delete that goal from your memory if you know what's good for you." He stared at the screen until it went black. His hands were shaking. The room felt smaller. He opened the window, let the cold northeast air in, but the metallic taste in his mouth wouldn't leave. The following morning, 48 hours after the final whistle, he turned up for the chairman's quiet word. The office on the top floor of the stadium smelled of polished wood and fresh coffee. Sir Geoffrey Harlan, club chairman for 17 years, sat behind a desk that probably cost more than Kai's childhood house. Gray hair, sharp suit, eyes like a man who'd buried more bodies than he'd admit. "Sit down, Kai. Hell of a goal, son. Hell of a goal." Kai sat. The leather chair creaked. Harlan slid a fresh contract across the desk. Bigger numbers. Longer term. A clause about mutual image protection. "We're building something here," Harlan said, tapping the paper. "You're part of it now. But momentum is fragile. One wrong headline and it all slips. You understand loyalty, don't you?" Kai nodded slowly. He understood the words, but not the weight behind them. As he left the office, Marcus was waiting in the corridor, new Rolex glinting under the lights. The watch looked brand new, expensive. The kind you don't buy on an agent's cut from a kid on 30 grand a week. "Nice chat?" Marcus asked, clapping him on the shoulder again. Kai forced a smile. "Yeah, all good." But as they walked out together, Kai noticed the way Marcus kept checking his own phone, the way his thumb hovered over the delete button just a fraction too long. That night, back in the flat, another message arrived at 22:47 exactly, the same time as the tunnel text 2 nights earlier. "Tell your agent the syndicate wants their money back, or the next goal you score will be into your own net." Kai deleted it, but this time he didn't sleep. He sat on the edge of the bed until 4 a.m., replaying the goal, the tunnel, the chairman's cold smile, the metallic taste in the whiskey. The Lionheart headlines kept pouring in, but inside his chest, something small and sharp had started to twist. The whispers started on the training ground like smoke you couldn't quite see. Tuesday morning, 9:12 a.m. The drizzle was the kind that soaked through 3 layers without making a sound. Kai jogged out onto the pitches behind the academy block, boots squelching in the mud, and immediately felt the shift. Not everyone was smiling anymore. The senior lads who'd mobbed him in the dressing room 2 nights earlier now gave him half nods, eyes sliding away a fraction too quickly. The goalkeeping coach, usually loud as a foghorn, barely looked up when Kai walked past. He told himself it was nothing. Post-match come down, jealousy, normal stuff. But then, during the rondo, he caught it. 2 of the midfielders, lads who'd been at the club since they were 16, muttered something under their breath when the ball came his way. One word floated across the circle. Fix. Kai let the ball run out. He laughed it off, jogged to fetch it, but his stomach had already tightened. In the gym afterwards, the physio pulled him aside under the pretense of checking his left hamstring. "Everything all right, son? You look a bit peaky." Kai shrugged. "Just buzzing off the win, I guess." The physio nodded, but his hands lingered on the muscle a second longer than necessary. "Chairman was asking after you this morning. Said to make sure you're looked after." Kai didn't like the pause before "looked after." Lunchtime brought the real crack in the facade. He was sitting alone at the end of the canteen table, scrolling through another wave of interview requests Marcus had forwarded, when his teammate, Jordan Hayes, the 29-year-old center half who'd captained the side the night Kai scored, dropped into the seat opposite. Jordan's plate was empty. He wasn't there for food. "Nice strike the other night," Jordan said quietly, eyes on the table. "Thanks, mate." Jordan leaned in, voice barely above the clatter of cutlery. "Listen, some of the boys heard things. About the betting. About how City were meant to nick it late. You know anything about that?" Kai's fork froze halfway to his mouth. "What?" Jordan glanced left, then right. "Just watch your back. Marcus has been flashing cash like he's won the lottery. New watch, new car in the car park this morning. And the chairman? He canceled the usual Tuesday board meeting. Said something came up. Funny timing, eh?" Before Kai could answer, Jordan stood, clapped him once on the shoulder, the same spot Marcus always hit, and walked away. The afternoon session was lighter, tactical shapes. Kai's touch felt heavy. He overhit 3 simple passes. The coach shouted his name once, sharp, the way you do when you're disappointed but not ready to admit it yet. In the huddle at the end, the manager pulled him aside. "Keep your head, Lennox. Media's going to be all over you this week. Don't let it turn your brain to mush." Kai nodded, but as he headed for the showers, he saw Marcus waiting by the tunnel entrance, leaning against the wall, scrolling through his phone with that same half-smile. The new Rolex caught the overhead light and flashed like a warning. "Quick word," Marcus called. They walked to the far end of the players' car park, away from the CCTV cameras that everyone pretended didn't exist. Marcus lit a cigarette. He never smoked in front of the lads normally. Chairman's happy, he said, blowing smoke toward the gray sky. Very happy. But there's a bit of noise online. Blurry clip doing the rounds. Someone filmed the director's box during your goal. Harlan on his phone looking like he'd seen a ghost. Nothing to worry about. We'll kill it. Kai felt the metallic taste creep back into his mouth, even though he hadn't drunk anything since breakfast. Marcus, that message in the tunnel. The ones after. You know anything? Marcus flicked ash onto the tarmac. Kids get death threats after big moments. Happens all the time. Ignore it. Focus on the next game. I've got some pills from the club doc. Nothing heavy, just to help you switch off at night. The adrenaline's going to keep you up otherwise. He pressed a small white bottle into Kai's hand. No label, just plain white. 2 before bed. Trust me. Kai stared at the bottle. The weight felt wrong. Too light for what it promised. That evening, back in the flat, he didn't take them. He set them on the kitchen counter and stared instead at his reflection in the dark window. Outside, the street lights flickered on one by one along the wear. At 10:47 p.m., his phone lit up again. This time it wasn't a text. It was a video link from an anonymous account. He clicked. Grainy footage, the director's box. Harlan standing up sharply the moment Kai struck the ball, phone pressed to his ear, mouth moving fast. The camera zoomed in. Someone had enhanced it, and you could just make out the words on his lips. It's in. Fuck. It's in. The clip ended. Underneath, one line of text. Ask your agent whose money just disappeared. Kai watched it 3 times. Then he opened the bottle Marcus had given him, tipped 2 pills into his palm, and for the first time since the goal, he swallowed them dry. The room softened at the edges almost immediately. His heartbeat slowed. But in the quiet that followed, one clear thought cut through the haze. The goal that made him a hero had just made him a problem. And someone close was already measuring how big that problem was. The pills worked too well. By Thursday night, Kai was sleeping 9 hours straight for the first time in weeks, but he woke up feeling like his head was wrapped in wet cotton wool. The edges of everything were soft. Training on Friday morning felt distant, as if he was watching himself through someone else's eyes. He missed a simple volley that even the academy kids would have buried. The coach didn't shout this time. He just watched, arms folded, saying nothing. Marcus noticed. Saturday, 11:03 a.m., match day -1. They were in the treatment room, Kai lying face down on the physio bed while Marcus sat on a stool beside him, scrolling through fresh interview requests. You're tense, kid. Take an extra one tonight. The club doc cleared it. Helps the stars switch off. Kai turned his head, cheek pressed to the cool leather. I already feel slow. That's the adrenaline leaving. This levels you out. Trust me. He left with another bottle. Same plain white. This one felt heavier. That night, the girlfriend arrived. Ellie. She'd driven up from Manchester after her shift at the hospital, still in her scrubs, hair smelling of antiseptic and rain. She found him on the sofa, staring at the blank television, the new bottle unopened on the coffee table. You look shattered, she said, kicking off her trainers. The goal was amazing, but you've barely answered my texts. Kai tried to smile. It came out crooked. Media's been mad. Marcus says it's normal. Ellie sat beside him, took his hand. Her fingers were cold. There's stuff online. Conspiracy bollocks. People saying the goal was fixed or something. That you weren't meant to score. Kai laughed once, short and hollow. People say all sorts. But his eyes flicked to the bottle. She noticed. What are those? Vitamins for recovery. Ellie picked it up, turned it over. No label, no markings. Vitamins don't come like this. Club issue. It's fine. She put it down slowly. The silence stretched. Later, when they were in bed, she whispered against his shoulder. If something's wrong, you can tell me. I'm not just here for the headlines. Kai didn't answer. The pill he'd taken at 9:30 was already pulling him under. He dreamed of the tunnel again, the vibration against his ankle, the 6 words. This time when he looked down, the phone screen showed his own face smiling back at him from the celebration photo. Except the eyes were wrong. Too wide, too empty. Sunday morning, game day against Bournemouth. The team hotel. Kai sat in the corner of the dining room, pushing scrambled eggs around his plate. The pills had left a metallic film on his tongue that no amount of orange juice could shift. Marcus appeared at his shoulder, smelling of fresh aftershave and money. Big day, Lionheart. Start on the bench again, but the gaffer says you'll get 20. Keep it simple, same as last week. Kai looked up. I feel off. You're just nervous. Normal. Take one now, half dose if you want, and you'll be sharp when you come on. He slipped the pill into Kai's palm under the table like it was a sweet. Kickoff came at 1400. The Stadium of Light was loud, but not the same roar as against City. Expectation had changed overnight. Now they wanted more magic. Kai watched from the bench as the game drifted. 0-0 at halftime, then 1-0 down just after the hour. The fourth official raised the board in the 73rd minute. Number 27. He ran on, legs heavy, the pitch tilting slightly under his boots. The first ball that came to him he miscontrolled. It ran under his foot and out for a throw. The home crowd groaned. Someone in the south stand shouted, "Sort it out, Lennox!" Second chance, 81st minute. Across from the left. He rose, headed it goalwards. Straight at the keeper. Easy save. The final whistle went. 1-0 defeat. In the dressing room, the silence was different. No champagne, no cardboard signs. Just boots hitting the floor and the occasional locker slam. Jordan Hayes caught his eye across the room and looked away first. Marcus was waiting outside in the corridor, new car keys spinning on his finger. Tough one. Don't worry. We'll spin it as learning curve. Got another bottle in the car, stronger this time. Helps with the disappointment. Kai shook his head. I don't want it. Marcus's smile tightened. You will. Trust me. That night, Ellie called. He let it ring out. When the voicemail came through, her voice was tight. Kai, there's a new clip online. You checking your phone in the tunnel before the City game? Someone enhanced it. You look scared. People are saying you knew something. Ring me. He didn't. Instead, he sat on the bathroom floor at 2319, the new, stronger bottle in his lap. He tipped 2 pills into his hand, then 3, swallowed them dry. The room spun gently. The metallic taste flooded his mouth like old coins. His phone lit up on the tiles beside him. Unknown number. Next time you miss, we'll make sure everyone knows why you scored the first one. He tried to delete it, but his thumb wouldn't obey. The screen blurred. Somewhere in the distance, he heard his own breathing. Too loud, too slow. The Lionheart was starting to crack, and the people paid to protect him were the ones holding the hammer. The first leak broke at 2:14 a.m. on Monday. Not a tabloid splash, not even a proper article. Just a 37-second clip posted on a shadowy Sunderland fan forum that usually only traded grainy training photos and conspiracy theories about the chairman's yacht. Someone had taken the original blurry director's box footage from the City game and cleaned it up with whatever cheap software kids use these days. Now you could see everything clearly. Harlan rising from his seat the exact moment Kai's shot left his boot, phone jammed to his ear. Mouth forming the words everyone could now lip read. It's in. Fuck. It's in. Then the slow realization dawning across his face like someone had just told him his house was on fire. The camera panned slightly, amateur, shaky, and caught Marcus in the row behind, not celebrating, but staring at his own phone with the expression of a man watching his retirement fund evaporate. By 6 a.m., the clip had jumped to Twitter, then Reddit, then every football WhatsApp group in the Northeast. Hashtag LinuxFix was trending before most people had finished their cornflakes. Sky Sports ran it on their morning show with the banner, "Questions raised over dramatic Sunderland winner." Pundits who'd called Kai a future England star 48 hours earlier were now stroking their chins and saying, "We need to see the context." Kai woke up at 7:47 to 38 missed calls and a flat that felt like it was closing in. His head throbbed with the afterburn of last night's pills. The metallic taste was thicker now, coating his throat like rust. He opened the forum on his laptop. The comments were already vicious. "Kid knew.
Look at his face in the tunnel.
Agent's new watch says it all.
Harlan's been in bed with the syndicates for years."
He slammed the lid shut. Training was called for 10 a.m. sharp. When he pulled into the car park, the usual scatter of fans had doubled. Phones were out. Someone shouted, "How much did they pay you, Lennox?" He kept his head down, hood up, and walked straight through the players' entrance without signing a single shirt. Inside, the atmosphere had curdled overnight. In the dressing room, the lads were quiet. No music, no banter. Jordan Hayes was lacing his boots in the corner, jaw tight. When Kai walked past, Jordan muttered under his breath, just loud enough. "Some of us actually play for the badge, mate." The manager's pre-training talk was short and sharp. No mention of the clip. But his eyes kept flicking to Kai like he was a cracked pane of glass that might shatter if the wind changed. On the pitch, it was worse. Every misplaced pass drew sighs. Every time Kai touched the ball, the coach's voices carried that extra edge. During a small-sided game, he made a run, called for it, and the ball never came. When he jogged back, the lad who should have played it in just shrugged. "Thought you'd want to miss that one too." At 11:53, the chairman's assistant appeared on the touchline and beckoned Kai over. Not Marcus. Not the manager, just a quiet woman in a navy suit who looked like she'd rather be anywhere else. "Sir Geoffrey would like a word. Now." The walk to the main stand felt longer than usual. Fluorescent lights in the corridor hummed louder than normal. Kai's boots clicked against the polished floor like a countdown. Harlan's office smelled the same, wood polish and money, but the air was thicker today. The chairman was standing at the window, back to the room, watching the training pitches below. When he turned, his face was carefully blank. "Sit." Kai sat. Harlan didn't. He stayed by the window, hands clasped behind his back. "That clip. Unfortunate. Some idiot with a zoom lens. We're handling it, legal or on it. But the narrative is inconvenient." He finally looked at Kai. "You're a good lad. Talented. But talent without loyalty is just noise. The club protected you, gave you the platform. Now certain parties feel you've cost them. Significantly. They want compensation." Kai's mouth was dry. "I scored a goal. That's what I'm paid for." Harlan smiled, thin and cold. "You scored the wrong goal, son. At the wrong time, for the wrong people." He walked round the desk, placed both palms flat on the wood. "Marcus has been managing the situation, but he can only do so much. The syndicate, they don't like loose ends. And right now, you're looking very loose." Kai felt the room tilt again. The pills, the lack of sleep, the metallic taste crawling up his throat. Harlan leaned closer. "Take the pills, keep your head down, play the next few games like a good boy, and perhaps we can still make this disappear. For all of us." He straightened. "Oh, and Kai, delete anything you shouldn't have on that phone of yours. We'd hate for more footage to surface." Kai left the office at 12:17. His legs felt detached from the rest of him. In the corridor, Marcus was waiting, arms folded, new watch catching the light like a signal. "Everything sorted?" Marcus asked, voice smooth as ever. Kai looked at him, really looked. The easy smile, the expensive haircut, the way he'd slipped the pills into his hand like sweets. "You knew," Kai said quietly. It wasn't a question. Marcus didn't blink. "I manage careers, kid, not miracles. Sometimes the script gets rewritten. You just happen to be the pen." He clapped Kai on the shoulder one last time. "2 pills tonight. Doctor's orders. You'll feel better in the morning." Kai walked out of the stadium alone. The fans outside had thinned, but one lad in a replica shirt filmed him on his phone as he passed. By evening, the clip had been viewed 1.2 million times. Comments called for investigations, bans, sackings. Ellie sent another message he didn't open. At 22:47 exactly, the same minute as the tunnel text, a new video appeared. This one showed Kai in the tunnel, phone in hand, deleting the message. The caption read, "He knew."
And he scored anyway.
Kai sat on his sofa, the white bottle in his lap, and for the first time he counted the pills left inside. 17. He tipped 4 into his palm, swallowed. The room folded in on itself, soft and dark and safe. But somewhere in the haze he heard the echo of boots in the tunnel, the slam of a locker, and the cold realization that the goal which made him famous had just made him the perfect scapegoat. And the people who were supposed to protect him were already choosing which version of the story would sell best when he finally broke. The car park behind the training ground was almost empty by 23:40 on Wednesday night. Only 3 cars left under the single sodium lamp that flickered every 17 seconds like it was counting down. Kai sat in his own car, engine off, hand still on the wheel even though he'd been parked for 20 minutes. The 4 pills he'd taken earlier had dulled the edges, but they hadn't killed the anger. That sat sharp and hot right behind his ribs. Marcus's black Range Rover pulled in at 23:47 exactly. The headlights swept across the tarmac, catching Kai's face for a second before they died. Marcus killed the engine but left the interior light on. He didn't get out straight away, just sat there, checking his phone, the new Rolex catching the glow. Kai stepped out first. The cold air slapped him awake. His boots crunched on loose gravel as he walked over. Marcus finally opened his door and climbed out, collar up against the drizzle. "Bit late for a chat, kid." "You knew from the start," Kai said. His voice came out flatter than he expected. The pills had thickened his tongue. Marcus sighed, the sound of a man who'd rehearsed this conversation. "I manage risk. That's what you pay me 15% for. The syndicate had an arrangement. Clean city win, nice and tidy. A couple of us were going to eat well. Then you decided to be the hero." Kai took another step closer. The lamp flickered. Shadow swallowed Marcus's face for a beat, then spat it back out. "So the tunnel text? That was you?" Marcus shrugged. "Insurance, in case you got ideas. The pills were to keep you calm, keep you performing just enough not to ask questions. But you scored anyway." "Cost him 4.8 million. Cash. Not the kind of money people forgive." Kai laughed once, bitter. It echoed off the empty stands in the distance. "And the chairman? He was in on it too?" "Harlan's been balancing books for years. Betting syndicates help when the transfer market bites. You were never meant to be the story. Just the kid who came on and missed a sitter. Easy, clean. Instead, you became the Lionheart." Marcus's lip curled. "Cute name. Won't look so cute when the next clip drops." Kai's hands curled into fists. "What clip?" Marcus reached into his coat pocket and pulled out his phone. He didn't show the screen, just held it up like a threat. "CCTV from the tunnel has audio now. Enhanced. Your breathing when you read that message, the way you deleted it, looks guilty as sin. We leak that and the FA will be crawling up your arse before breakfast. Match-fixing inquiry? Ban. Career done at 21. The lamp flickered again. 17 seconds of darkness. In that black, Kai saw it all clearly for the first time. The celebration, the headlines, the pills, the cold smile in the director's box. None of it had been for him. It had been damage control. "You fed me those pills to keep me quiet," Kai said. "To make me doubt my own legs." Marcus smiled now, small and sharp. "And they worked beautifully. Until tonight. So here's the deal. You keep taking them. You play the next 3 games like a ghost. Miss chances. Look tired. The syndicate gets their narrative back. Young talent cracking under pressure. We all walk away richer. You keep your career. Simple." Kai took the last step. They were close enough that he could smell Marcus's aftershave over the rain. "And if I don't?" Marcus didn't flinch. Then the audio drops. Your girlfriend gets anonymous messages about the girls in Dubai I've already lined up for you. The club releases statements about personal issues, and you become the next cautionary tale. Another kid who flew too close to the sun. The silence stretched. Rain hissed on the car roofs. Kai's voice dropped to almost nothing. I scored a goal. One goal. And you're ready to bury me for it. Marcus pocketed the phone. Welcome to the real Premier League, kid. The pitch is the smallest part. He turned to get back in the Range Rover. Kai grabbed his arm, harder than he meant to. The fabric of the coat twisted in his grip. Marcus looked down at the hand, then up at Kai's face. His eyes were calm, almost bored. Let go, or the first clip goes live in 30 seconds. Kai held on for 3 more heartbeats. Then he released. Marcus climbed back into the car, started the engine. Before he pulled away, he wound the window down an inch. 2 pills tonight. Doctor's orders. Sleep well, Lionheart. The taillights disappeared into the rain. Kai stood alone under the flickering lamp until it counted another 17 seconds. Then another. His legs felt heavier than they had all week. The metallic taste flooded back, stronger now, like he'd been sucking on old pennies. He walked back to his own car, opened the glove box, and took out the latest bottle. 13 pills left. He tipped 5 into his palm this time, swallowed them dry, rain running down his face. As the chemicals started to pull the world soft again, one clear thought cut through like a blade. The betrayal wasn't the money. It wasn't even the fix. It was the fact that the man who was supposed to have his back had been counting the exact second Kai would break, and Kai was running out of seconds. The paranoia arrived on Thursday like a slow, creeping fog that never lifted. Kai woke at 6:19 a.m. with his heart hammering so hard he could feel it in his teeth. The flat was dark, curtains drawn, but every shadow looked wrong. The half-empty pill bottle on the bedside table seemed to have moved an inch to the left overnight. He couldn't remember putting it there. He couldn't remember falling asleep. He checked his phone. No new messages from unknown numbers. That made it worse. The silence felt deliberate. Training was at 9:30. He drove there with both hands gripping the wheel at 10 and 2, eyes flicking to the rearview mirror every few seconds. A silver Audi stayed 3 cars back for the entire 6-mile route. When he indicated left into the training ground, the Audi carried straight on. But the driver's silhouette looked familiar. Too familiar. In the changing room, the air felt thinner. Jordan Hayes was already there, lacing his boots with slow, deliberate pulls. When Kai walked past, Jordan didn't look up. Just said, low enough for only the 2 of them. Marcus was asking about you last night. Said you're struggling. Said maybe you need time away from the first team. Kai stopped. He said that? Jordan finally met his eyes. There was something in them, pity mixed with distance. He showed the manager the new clips, the ones with sound, said it's better for the club if we keep it quiet. Protect the dressing room. Kai felt the metallic taste flood his mouth again. He swallowed hard. I didn't fix anything. I scored. Jordan tied the last knot and stood up. Doesn't matter what you did, mate. Matters what they say you did. Watch yourself in the rondo today. Some of the lads are talking. The session was a nightmare played in slow motion. Every time Kai called for the ball, it seemed to take half a second longer to arrive. When it did, his touch was heavy, the pills turning his legs into someone else's. He overran one simple through ball and ended up on his backside in the mud. The laughter from the circle was short and sharp. Not the usual piss-taking. This had teeth. The assistant coach pulled him aside after 20 minutes. Everything all right, Lennox? You're not yourself. Kai wiped rain from his face. Just tired. The coach nodded, but his eyes said he didn't believe it. Manager wants you in his office after. Marcus will be there. The meeting room smelled of fresh coffee and tension. The manager sat at the head of the table, arms folded. Marcus leaned against the wall by the window, scrolling through his phone like this was just another Tuesday. Harlan wasn't there. He didn't need to be. The manager spoke first, voice flat. "We've seen the new footage, Kai. The tunnel, the deletion. It doesn't look good. Fans are calling for an investigation. Sponsors are twitchy. We need to manage this." Marcus stepped in smoothly. "Which is why we're suggesting a period of rest. Mental fatigue. The pressure of that goal, the sudden fame, it's a lot for a young lad. We spin it as protecting you. Club statement this afternoon. You train with the under-23s for a couple of weeks. Keep your head down. Let the noise die." Kai stared at the table. The wood grain blurred. "I don't need rest. I need you to tell the truth." Marcus laughed once, soft. "Truth is flexible, kid, especially when 4.8 million is on the line. The syndicate has been patient, but patience has limits." The manager shifted uncomfortably, but said nothing. Kai stood up slowly. His chair scraped loud in the quiet room. "You're all in on it. Every one of you." Marcus's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Careful. Next clip drops and you're not just dropped. You're done. Forever." Kai walked out without another word. His boots echoed down the corridor like gunshots. He didn't go back to the training pitches. He went straight to the medical room, found the physio alone, and demanded a blood test. The physio hesitated. "Club protocol says, do it. Now." The needle went in at 11:47. Kai watched the dark red fill the tube and wondered how much of the metallic taste was the pills and how much was fear. By 3 p.m., the club statement was live on the website. Sunderland AFC can confirm that Kai Lennox will step back from first-team duties for the foreseeable future to focus on his mental well-being following the intense scrutiny after his recent goal against Manchester City. The club asks for privacy and support during this time. The replies flooded in. Some sympathy, most venom. Convenient timing. Guilty as sin. Another one bites the dust. Ellie rang at 4:12. He answered this time. "Kai, what the hell is going on? The statement? Mental well-being? You've never had a day's depression in your life." He sat on the edge of his bed, phone pressed hard to his ear. "They're burying me, Elle. The goal, it wasn't meant to happen. Marcus, the chairman, they had a deal. Betting. I scored anyway. Now they're making me the villain." Silence on the line. Then her voice, smaller. "You need to come to Manchester. Get away from there. I'll book you a ticket." "I can't. They've got clips, audio. They'll destroy me." Another pause. "Then tell someone. The PFA, the press, someone who isn't on their payroll." Kai laughed, hollow. "Who?" "Everyone's watching. Everyone's waiting for me to crack." He hung up before she could reply. That night, the paranoia tightened its grip. He barricaded the flat door with the coffee table, drew every curtain, sat on the floor with the lights off, watching the street through a gap in the blinds. Every car that passed seemed to slow. Every shadow on the pavement looked like Marcus. At 22:47, his phone lit up on the carpet beside him. Not a text this time, a voice note, from Jordan Hayes' number. He pressed play with a shaking thumb. Jordan's voice, low and urgent. "Mate, I saw the blood results. They came back clean, but the doc told the manager there were traces of something they couldn't identify. Marcus was in the room. He said it's best if we keep it quiet. Said you're unstable. Said if you kick off, the next clip shows you taking the pills yourself." "I'm sorry, I should have said something sooner, but I've got a family. They made it clear what happens if I talk." The voice note ended. Kai played it again. Then again. The metallic taste was so strong now he gagged. He crawled to the bathroom, knelt over the toilet, and vomited until there was nothing left but bile and the bitter echo of every celebration he'd never deserved. When he finally lay on the cold tiles at 2:03 a.m., staring at the ceiling, the last clear thought before the pills pulled him under was this: The goal that lifted him onto the shoulders of his teammates had quietly lowered him into a grave they were already digging. And the only person still pretending to help him hold the shovel was the one who'd sold it to them in the first place. The dawn came cold and gray over the Stadium of Light, the floodlights still burning from the night before like they'd forgotten to switch off. Kai Lennox walked out of the players' entrance at 5:37 a.m., kit bag slung over one shoulder, hood pulled low. No one was around. Not the security guard who usually nodded at him, not the cleaner who whistled old Sunderland anthems while mopping the corridors. Just the low hum of the generators and the distant cry of gulls circling the weir. His boots clicked against the wet tarmac, the same sound they'd made in the tunnel 6 days earlier, only slower now, heavier. The pills had left his legs loose and his mind sharp in all the wrong places. Every shadow between the lampposts felt like it was watching. He didn't go to his car. He walked straight across the empty car park toward the main stand, the same route he'd taken after the chairman's quiet word. The side door was unlocked. It always was for staff who knew the code. He punched it in without thinking. Inside, the corridors were dim, emergency lighting only. His footsteps echoed louder than they should. He passed the dressing room where they lifted him onto the bench. The door was ajar. Inside, someone had already cleared his peg. Number 27, gone. Just an empty hook and a faint outline where the nameplate had been. He kept walking until he reached the tunnel. The same fluorescent tubes flickered overhead. 2247 felt like a lifetime ago and yesterday at the same time. Kai stopped exactly where he'd stood that night, boots still laced, phone in his sock. He closed his eyes and heard it again. The vibration, the 6 words, the roar bleeding through from the pitch. This time, there was no roar, just silence and the drip of a leaking pipe somewhere above. He opened his eyes and kept going, up the concrete ramp, out onto the pitch. The grass was damp under his trainers. The goalposts stood like sentries at the far end. He walked to the center circle, dropped his bag, and sat down right on the spot where he'd taken that touch 6 days ago. The exact blade of grass. He knew because he'd watched the goal back enough times to memorize it. The stadium was empty, yet it felt full. Full of every cheer, every chant of Lionheart, every whisper that had followed. He pulled the white bottle from his pocket. 8 pills left. He tipped them all into his palm, stared at them for a long time, then scattered them across the grass like seeds he had no intention of watering. Footsteps behind him. He didn't turn round straight away. Sir Geoffrey Harlan walked out of the tunnel in a long black coat, hands in his pockets, breath fogging in the cold morning air. He stopped 10 yards away, looking smaller out here without the oak desk between them. "You shouldn't be here, son." Kai stayed seated. "Neither should you." Harlan sighed and came closer. He didn't sit, just stood with his back to the goal Kai had scored into. "I built this club from nothing, twice. Once with my own money, once with other people's. The syndicate keeps the lights on when the Premier League check doesn't stretch. You scored a goal. One goal. And suddenly the books don't balance. 4.8 million doesn't just vanish quietly." Kai looked up at him. The chairman's face was tired, older than it had looked in the office. "So you let them drug me. Let Marcus feed me whatever that was. Let the lads think I threw it." Harlan's jaw tightened. "I let the situation be managed. There's a difference." "No," Kai said quietly. "There isn't." A long silence. The gulls wheeled overhead. Harlan finally spoke again. "The new clip drops at 9. Audio version. You deleting the message, breathing like a guilty man. After that, the club will have no choice. Statement about ongoing investigation. You'll be suspended. Maybe worse. But if you sign the papers I've got in the car, mutual consent, mental health clause, nice little payoff, we can still make it look like you walked away with dignity." Kai laughed once, the sound small against the empty stands. "Dignity," he repeated. "That's what you're selling now?" He stood up slowly, brushed the damp grass from his tracksuit bottoms. "I don't want your money. I don't want your silence. I just want the truth to hurt you the same way it's hurting me." Harlan's eyes narrowed. "And what truth is that, exactly?" Kai picked up his bag, slung it over his shoulder again. "That the goal wasn't the problem. The people who needed it to fail were." He started walking toward the tunnel. Harlan called after him, voice carrying across the empty pitch. "You walk out now and you'll never play professional football again. Not here, not anywhere." Kai stopped at the tunnel mouth. He turned once, just enough for the chairman to see his face clearly in the growing light. "Maybe that's the only way I stay clean." Then he stepped into the shadows. Outside, the stadium lights finally clicked off behind him with a loud thunk that echoed across the car park. Dawn was breaking properly now, thin and pale over the river. Kai walked past his own car without looking at it. He kept walking along the riverside path, boots scuffing the concrete, the kit bag getting heavier with every step. At 6:58 a.m., his phone buzzed one last time. Marcus. He didn't open the message. He just dropped the phone into the nearest bin, heard it clatter against the metal, and kept walking. Ellie would be waiting in Manchester. Maybe the PFA would listen. Maybe they wouldn't. The clip would drop at 9 anyway. The headlines would scream whatever story suited the club best. But as the sun finally pushed through the gray, Kai Lennox, 21 years old, one senior goal to his name, realized the strangest thing of all. The weight in his chest wasn't shame anymore. It was clarity. The Lionheart hadn't been slain by the dragon. He'd simply looked it in the eye, seen the reflection of every man who'd tried to chain him, and decided the only way to win was to stop playing their game entirely. Behind him, the empty stadium stood silent, floodlights dark, waiting for the next fairy tale. Somewhere inside it, a single white pill still lay on the grass in the center circle, slowly dissolving in the morning dew. No one would ever know it had been there. And that, in the end, was the only truth that mattered.